I started climbing almost 6 years ago now. At age 29, I found myself constantly having the need to balance two competing priorities. Number one, I want to get as strong as I can. I want to climb the hardest grades that I can. So I'm very motivated to continue progressing. And oftentimes that just leads you to keep climbing more and more and more. From a technical standpoint, for sure, your technique will get better with time spent on the wall, time spent going through new moves on the rock, getting comfortable, trusting the friction. There's like all these things that you will just get better and better at with time spent climbing. But unfortunately, that also brings up the second aspect to balance, which is injury potential. And the more time you spend climbing, the higher your injury potential. Believe it or not, that's exactly where limit boulders like this one I'm doing today come into play. All right, in order to properly understand my theory on how you can keep improving and getting stronger while avoiding injury, you need to first accept the premise that high volume training is more likely to lead to injury. Injury is likely to stagnate your progress or even reverse it in some cases. So it stands to reason that the best way to progress is to find a way to keep getting stronger and better without getting injured. It's also important to have at least a very basic understanding of the three methods or energy systems that your body has available to it to generate the energy it needs to climb and do anything else. We are going to simplify this or dumb it down way further than it should be for the sake of brevity. The first energy system, which I refer to here as long endurance, is the one supplying most of the energy while you're just chilling. Think about climbing up and down a 5-0 auto belay that you could basically do indefinitely. Your long endurance or aerobic energy system is the one providing pretty much all of the energy used for a climb like that. The next energy system is what I call power endurance. Although it can't provide energy for as long, it can allow you to do a lot harder moves in that period of time. The easiest example of this is probably pumpy sport climbs that last a few minutes and leave you feeling pretty exhausted at the end. Last and certainly not least is the system that provides the maximum possible energy. It can only do so for maybe 10 or 15 seconds, but it lets you do all the hardest bouldering moves, cruxes on sport climbs, and any other physical activity that taps your near maximum ability or strength. Although all three of these systems are really important and are all working sort of amongst each other at any given time and on any given climb, there are a few important things to note about the trainability and long-term approach that I think is best to take with each of these systems. We'll focus first on that middle column for the power endurance system. In terms of trainability, this system can actually be trained up in just about 3 or 4 weeks of specific focused training. It does train your long endurance or aerobic system at the same time because it has to sort of play cleanup for the power endurance system as you build that pump. The aerobic system helps drain it out and clear that system to be used again in cycles basically. But otherwise, focusing a lot of your training long term on this middle system is really going to be time that could be better spent elsewhere. Conversely, on both sides of the spectrum, the long endurance system can be trained a lot, and over time it can get a lot better. Over many, many years, decades even, you can continue to see improvement in your long endurance aerobic system that will also translate to cleaning up your power endurance system better as well. Perhaps best about this system is you can keep training it into old age, maybe 50s, 60s, or perhaps even beyond, which is the biggest differentiator from the max strength system. That system is the first one to start to dip off with older age, so it gets harder and harder to see improvement in your max strength the older you get. So while I'm still relatively young, I'm going to focus my time on this max strength system. The best way I've found to do that is through outdoor bouldering, maybe system board bouldering, or at the very least, limit bouldering. Starts here with the right hand on a sloper, left hand on a jug, high right foot to get you started. Big move, bop, maybe with a bump along up to this corner. Got to find a heel hook on the left side down there to then bring up the left hand. Find the crimp here on this lip, right in here on the crimp. Post up my feet down and right here. Rearrange to get the right hand up on this feature, and then turn high left foot here to post up for the blast to the lip. As soon as I catch that, right heel goes up, left foot stays there, squeeze between the two. Make the crossing sort of move to this right hand pinchy sloping feature here on the arete. Keep the feet where they are, bump, bump to the jug. Probably could see that thing better than I ever have, but it's like a slotted jug, I think, because it feels weird. Sick boulder, let's do it. You're probably thinking to yourself at this point, like, I thought you were trying to avoid injury and now you're recommending limit bouldering. There's one more important aspect that goes along with this. In order to see gains in this max strength system, it's really more about quality than it is about quantity. With just a couple of sessions a week of focused training on doing the right type of climbing or the right type of training, you can see improvements in this system. As your maximum strength and your top end ability improves, so does your aerobic and so does your power endurance. Or you might think of it as requiring less power endurance to do the same moves because they're a lower percentage of your maximum ability. So basically my theory is boulder a lot while you're young, but give yourself a lot of rest days in between to avoid the high volume injuries that come with most climbers who get overpsyched and just train way too much. Yeah, I totally jacked up that microphone. Bad week to be one of my microphones, but this problem, it's got really only a handful of moves. They're all pretty strenuous though. It's only a V5, but it's a Morrison V5. Regardless, it's pretty close to my physical limit. My first time on the boulder, all I did was try individual moves and didn't make a whole lot of progress. Then last session, I was able to do pretty much all of the moves in isolation and link a few, which means in theory, I should be able to send it within the next couple of sessions, which honestly makes it like the perfect training boulder for me. I spend enough time on it to kind of learn the new body positions and moves that come with the boulder, but not so long that I'm either one, injury prone from repeating the same move too many times, or two, just improving in too specific of a way that you're really just improving on that boulder and not improving your repertoire of techniques and tricks or your strength and body tension and that sort of thing. So for me, it's best to find a boulder that would take theoretically a few sessions and demand me to try really, really hard, but hopefully not tempt injury and not risk becoming too long-term of a project. And honestly, this boulder checks all those boxes perfectly for me. Okay, that's enough time lapsing for now.